Welcome everyone to part 2 of webinar 1. We broke it up because it was just so much information and too long and too much to take on all at once. So we're picking up at the end of our cash flow scenarios, and we're going to discuss now the types of reporting that a business has and is required to do. So Sarah, tell us, teach us, show us what we need to know.
Okay, so we've got 2 types of reporting. So you've got the cash basis and the accrual basis.
Yes, so we might just pop the PowerPoint on now.
Yeah.
So we've got cash and accrual basis.
That's right. So that's what we'll be talking about, cash and accrual basis. We'll then go on to reporting versus recording, and then we'll look at some practical applications in Xero. And then we'll go through questions. That's all right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Perfect. And we can take off the PowerPoint, maybe?
Sure. Yeah, if you'd like.
Yeah.
We're just keeping Sean, getting his exercise on for the day. So that's great. Thanks for that, Sean. Right. Okay.
So Sarah, you want to see us rather than the PowerPoint.
That's right. True. Okay, Sarah, what's the difference? Well, I mean, is there more than how many bases of reporting do we have? I mean,
All right. So we've got 2 types of reporting base.
Gotcha.
It's reporting, not recording.
Yes.
Just remember that. So the cash basis.
Okay.
And it's pretty simple. When you hear cash,
Yeah.
It's about cash. So what is that? It's about when the money hits the account.
Okay.
And when the income hits the account and when the expenses leave your bank account.
Okay.
When you have cash, that also means the cash that you get and the cash that you spend.
Correct.
Not only in your bank account, but you might be using a petty cash account.
Yeah.
So that's as well what we're looking at. So what's in the bank and what you spend in terms of cash.
Okay, that's simple.
Yeah, that's very simple. And the second bit is accrual basis, and that gets a little bit more complicated.
Okay, do tell.
Yeah. Well, when did you invoice the client for the job that you're going to do or have done?
Okay, so in the case of the scenario we used in our first part of the webinar, we invoiced for a job that we did on the 2nd. We did the job on the 2nd. We invoiced on the 4th of March.
So the date is the 4th of March. That's the date that you need to consider as the date for the period that you are reporting. Now, this becomes especially important when it's at the end of a particular period. 31st of March is the end of one period, and 1st of April is the beginning of the other period. So if you're on an accrual basis, then it becomes vitally important when you're reporting, because it could either fall on one quarter or another quarter. So if your BAS is on an accrual basis, then your reporting would be on an accrual basis then.
Yes.
And you will be paying for the income that came in during that period. So it can get a bit complicated.
But you'll be paying for the income that you have invoiced for in that period. You might not receive that money until the 2nd of April.
Depending on your payment terms.
So you're still paying tax on it, yet we haven't got the money in the account yet.
So it's very important for you guys to know what sort of reporting you've got.
Absolutely. And how do we change that? Like, I've got a small business, and if I invoice, I don't have the funds to carry it for too long. So I'd rather report on a cash basis.
So depending on how you were set up when you started your business.
Oh, so it's right
makes
back there.
Yeah, it depends on that. And it's very easy to find out whether you're on cash or on an accrual basis. And the ATO knows that it's difficult for small businesses and gives you the option to go on a cash basis. In fact, most of your accountants or anyone setting up your business and reporting for GST and registering for GST with the ATO, you should already be on a cash basis.
Okay.
But I have seen some who are not.
Well, it happened to me with one of my businesses. And I was so lucky. I had Sarah who was able then to go through the process of changing it. It's not a simple process, and I wouldn't suggest you do it on your own. I'd suggest you ask somebody who is accredited, like Sarah, to do it for you.
And it becomes even more difficult if you have reported on an accrual basis
already,
or thought you were reporting correctly, but you did that incorrectly, and now have to go back and make changes. So I would always recommend going to see someone. So we spoke about income coming in on an accrual basis, but what about cash? The same thing applies, not cash, sorry. What about expenses?
Okay.
Expenses, it's the same thing. When were you actually invoiced for the item rather than when
you actually paid for it? Okay, because you're always invoiced first.
Yeah.
So say you were invoiced on the 28th of March, but you didn't pay it until the 2nd of April.
Or even later than that.
Or even later than that.
So those expenses belong to a different quarter.
Yeah. Yet, on an accruals basis, because you've got the invoice in, then you would have to pay for the tax. You'd have to put it in the previous quarter.
Exactly.
Wow. That's tricky.
That's tricky. And some people, like I said, have been caught out with it, had no idea they were on accrual basis, thought they were doing the right thing. So really very important, guys. And we're talking here about reporting to the ATO. So the ATO lets you report on a cash basis as a small business.
And that's good.
Yeah, that is.
That's really good. But there's a really, really big difference between cash reporting and accrual reporting.
Exactly.
And that's the timing. The timing of the money, of the cash flow. So the timing of the money coming in and the timing of the money going out.
That's right. So like I said before, if you make less than 10 million in the turnover in your business.
Yep, that will be me this year.
Considers you, I think that will be me too. I'm not making 10 mil. Would be nice, wouldn't it?
It'd be lovely. Well, I don't know. With 10 mil plus comes a lot more headaches.
It does. So if you are, then the ATO allows you to report on a cash basis.
Oh, it's good.
Yeah, that's nice. So check your registration and you'll find the information on your BAS statement as well. So look at your last statement and it'll tell you whether you're cash basis or accrual basis on the form. Or ask your accountant, bookkeeper, or BAS agent. The next part that we'll be talking about is something slightly different. Now, if you weren't already confused with the accrual and the cash basis, I thought I'd just mix it up a little,
just a little bit more.
Something else.
Oh no! I think we got it clear. I think cash basis versus accrual basis reporting.
Yeah.
Yep. The difference is timing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you've got to be on cash.
That's it. You want to be on cash. And if you've got any questions, then contact your accountant or your bookkeeper or.
That's right. So the next bit is reporting versus recording.
There's a difference?
There is a difference.
Oh, my goodness.
Now, reporting is what you report to the tax office.
Okay.
Now, recording is what you do internally in-house.
Oh, so when I go to my computer and I tap, there goes, I put that invoice in. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. Recording.
So, recording. Now, imagine you recorded when you paid the bill. For example,
you would do.
You would do. For example, you paid the bill and then you send the information to your accountant, bookkeeper. and said, well, this is the bill I paid. A lot of people report and record on a cash basis. Okay. Why should you not just record on a cash basis? I want you to report on a cash basis, but record on an accrual basis.
Okay.
Record on an accrual basis.
So that would mean that unless I've paid it and the money has left the account or entered the account, then I don't put it in my system. Is that what you're saying?
No, what I'm saying is before you pay.
Oh, put it in there before I pay.
And why should you put it in there before you pay?
So you know what you're projecting. You know what's coming up.
That's it.
You can plan.
You can plan.
Ah.
So what do you need to put in your system, your accounting system? And I hope you have one. But what do you put into your accounting system when you are recording a bill?
Any bills you've got coming in, any receipts you might have. You might go to the petrol station and fill up with fuel. Yeah. In the landscaping business, you might need to get the chainsaw sharpened.
Yeah.
And you've paid for it by your debit card, so that receipt will need to go in.
Yeah. But remember those receipts, for example, the petrol and the chainsaw that you got sharpened that you paid cash for. Those are cash that you're recording in cash after you paid it. But imagine that you had a trade account that was increasing because every time you went to Bunnings, you bought a little bit more and you bought a little bit more. But you don't need to pay until the end of the month.
But so do you put the individual receipt dockets in?
Yeah, your dockets. You put them in. Okay. Why do you put them in? Then you'll know how much money you're accruing. And you'll know at the end of every month how much you need to pay. What if you have terms, not a trade account, but terms with a supplier where you purchase something and you get 30 days? You don't need to pay it now. No. You get the invoice, you get your goods, you put it into your system, purchased on the 2nd. That's the date on your invoice. It's not the date that you receive it from them. It's the date on the invoice.
Okay.
And then they will say 30 days from the date of the invoice. So you'll be paying it on the 2nd of the next month.
Yeah.
So on your system, you're going to put in 2nd of the next month. That way, when you look at when bills are due, you actually know when they're due.
Yes.
It's not only what you paid for petrol with cash, with your debit card, but also what you're owing because you are reporting on an accrual basis.
And it's really important to put the due dates in, as they say. You've got the invoice in your hand. Then if you say, okay, it's the 2nd now, but this isn't due until the 20th. So then you put it in there, and if your system is up to date and accurate, then your reporting and your recording will be fabulous and you'll know where you stand.
Yeah, that's right. So if you're thinking, great, I'm on a cash basis with my ATO, I don't need to do anything. I will just pay the bills when they come due, and then I will give it to my accountant. I'll give them just the receipts, or they can look at the bank statement and see how much. Yes, they'll be able to tell you at the end of the quarter how much you need to pay the ATO. But in business, as you know, it's not only about paying the ATO. It's not only about reporting to the ATO. It's about running your business. And when you run your business, you want to make sure you're doing it on an accrual basis. And this is where a good BAS agent, bookkeeper, comes into play, because it's not about your profitability at the end. It's about how you get to that profit, how you get to that cash flow. That's what makes the difference. And I hope I've highlighted that well.
Yeah, I think so. It's just essential to keep your data up to date, and it doesn't matter whether it's a receipt or an invoice or what have you. It has to go in there, and you have to have the dates correct. And as long as you've got that, then you'll be able to see where you're at a glance. In a system like Xero, you can see on the dashboard how much money you've got coming in, how much money you've going out. At a glance, you know what's going on. And And as long as you know that, then
that makes life easy, and you don't have to be juggling all those balls.
Well, that's right.
Money.
If I see I've got money in the account, I go, oh, good, I can pay for, my kid's birthday party on the weekend.
Kid's birthday party? Are you sure you can?
Well, if I've got my accounts up to date in Xero and everything kind of matches and I've reconciled with my bank account, then I should be able to.
I think so.
Yeah.
Are my kids invited?
Absolutely. The more the merrier.
Okay, fantastic. So that gives you a highlight of recording versus reporting. If you've got any questions, feel free to send me an email. More than happy to chat with you. Now we want to move on to some practical applications. How can we use the information that we've learned? And you've already, Joel, you've already talked about Xero.
Yes, sorry.
Not sorry, but I think it's great. Xero, MYOB, QuickBooks, all of these applications will help you with your accounting and your reporting and your recording. So let's look at some practical applications. So invoicing, all right? You've got different ways that you can invoice. When you invoice, you've got to make sure that you've got your payment dates there.
Yes.
So make sure you've got the shortest payment times.
Yes. We suggest 7 days.
Yeah, we suggest 7 days. That the earlier the better.
Yeah.
Secondly, automatic reminders. Now, there are, like Xero, for example, allows you to have automatic reminders. The cat
is playing with the ball.
Yeah, exactly. He's going, Pixie's going, why haven't you pet me lately? What's going on? Anyway, that's the kitty cat.
Yes.
So automatic reminders. If the person doesn't pay, and you've got all of this stuff going on, you want to automate it and make sure that you send out those reminders.
Yeah, because you might not have time to get back into your system to send out the reminder. So if you switch on automatic reminders, that's one less administration task that you need to do.
Yeah. But however, with the reminders comes the added responsibility of making sure you've reconciled your accounts.
Absolutely.
If somebody has paid you yesterday and then today you send out a reminder and it's in your account, but they get the reminder, I don't think they'd be too happy.
Yeah, you can upset them a little bit. So it's wise to reconcile on a weekly basis.
Yeah,
if
have
you can.
that regularly.
And if you can't, then get your bookkeeper to do so.
And maybe when automatic reminders go out, don't have them, if the person's supposed to pay on the 14th, that's with the 7-day terms, maybe put the automatic reminder, maybe 2 weeks after that date. So it just kind of gives you a leeway so that you have time to do your admin work as well.
Reconciliation. Yeah,
definitely. So that's automatic reminders. Also, allowing your customers to pay in different ways on the invoice. And this is the different ways that when you can invoice, you can say, well, you can pay me through this facility, Stripe, for example.
Yeah. Or I was going to say eBay, but not eBay. I actually meant to say PayPal.
Yeah. PayPal, or you can give them the direct debit.
EFT.
Option. Yeah.
Love EFT. You don't get any charges for that. Whereas with PayPal, you might lose, a percentage of the money
that comes in. But you can always set up your Stripe or your PayPal. I know for Stripe for sure that you
the customer pays the percentage. Yes. Yeah, the fee.
That's right. And with all of these facilities, you've also got to think about how the information flows into Xero.
Yes.
Because these are all integrations that you can have with your Xero software. And if you get information coming in, if the amounts match, then it makes it easier to do your admin job.
That's right.
But if the amounts don't match, then it would become harder. So you've really got to consider which software you're going to go with and how it comes and flows through, how much, and so forth. But that's not what we're talking about today in depth. We're just giving you ideas so that you can go and research.
Absolutely. Or just ask the questions. Yeah. Just ask the questions of your bookkeeper or your accountant. okay, so how am I going to receive the money? What is the best way for me so that I don't have to spend X amount of time on administration, because all I want to do when I get home is spend time with the family.
Yeah.
It's about work-life balance.
It's about work-life balance. Now, in some software, and I know this for Xero, I do use other software as well, but I know that, and the other software do the same. When you send the email across to the client, you can actually tell when the email was sent to them. So if they can't call you back and say, I never got the email, I never got your invoice, you can look it up on your system.
You can see the sent, and you can even see viewed. You can see if they've viewed the invoice. So if they then say, oh, no, I never received it, but you can see on your system that they've actually opened the invoice and viewed the invoice. You can take a screenshot and say, oh, well, actually, I can see that you viewed the invoice on this date.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Other tips, when you send your invoice out, you are able to then monitor how many days late they are. Or with the sales overview, you can look at how many, what you're getting within 7 days, within 14 days, and so forth. So you're able to view that.
And that's so important. Going back to our first part of the first webinar, it's all about the cash flow. You need to know, you need to monitor when this money is going to be coming in, and when, money that you need to pay has to go out.
Yeah. And we can help you set up a different program that allows us to take the data from Xero, for example, and put it into this cash flow software that will show you how much money that's coming in, depending on what you are entering and sending off to different people to pay.
That's a great program.
So you don't have to go and do double entries. You don't want to be doing double entries.
Who's got time for that?
No one's got time.
Ain't got no time for that.
Another tip is your customers. Are you putting all your eggs in one basket?
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you've got one big customer, that's fantastic. But what happens if that one big customer restructures, or a competitor comes along and decides to go with another supplier instead of you?
So always think about spreading the load
and spread the love.
Yeah, spread the love. And when you're looking at your cash, your sales overview, you can see what percentage each client actually owes you of the total. So you can see if you're heavy in one area or the other.
Well, that's right. And if this particular client is your biggest client, and they're late in paying consistently, then you can be in a big hole with your cash flow.
If you've got a large amount that's coming due, for example, and you know that you're relying on that, give them a call. Make sure that you're front of their mind.
Yes.
Just say, hey, just letting you know this such and such a bill is due on this date. Is that all okay to go?
Yeah.
People don't
just
mind
a
that.
Friendly reminder. Is there any reason why it hasn't been paid before now? Oh, okay, you're waiting for somebody else to pay you. I understand. But could you, even pay a percentage of it? Get them to pay a quarter of it, just to show some faith in the relationship that you have with them. And often they will say yes. It's goodwill.
Yeah. So that's about the cash in terms of what cash is coming in. What about cash going out? I would say set default rates on all bills that you enter, so you know when they're due. And when you do the entries, you can adjust your default rate. Don't say it's due today when it's not due today.
Yeah, no. So absolutely put the appropriate due date in. Yes.
And also, don't pay right away. If you've got 30 days to pay,
30 days.
They're paying 30 days. Better money in your account than in their account.
You're earning the interest, not them.
That's right. Now, when you enter information, you also have to put in what you need to pay for your BAS. Don't forget about that. Your liabilities, your car payments, any loan payments that you've got. When are they due? So then you don't fall short.
Absolutely.
You have it in the system, and then when you look to see what are my accounts payable, what are my accounts receivable, bang, it's there.
Absolutely.
And it'll tell you when. And there's other software that even help you manage that cash flow. Another thing is apply for trade accounts.
Can't stress that enough. I think that is, it's
yeah,
gold.
it just makes it much easier for you because it's better that money is in your account than in their account.
That's right.
For as long as possible.
And it doesn't matter what trade you're in or industry you're in. I mean, Officeworks, you can have a 30-day trade account with them. Any of the hospitality services places, you can put everything on 30-day trade accounts. Bunnings, any of the landscaping industry, any of the sand, soil and plant places, they always have 30-day terms. You can apply for a trade account with little to you don't have to have no mortgage on your house and have X amount in the bank. You can apply for a 30-day trade account, no problem. It's very smart.
Very smart. What happens though is that a lot of people start using their credit cards.
Don't use them.
Don't,
because you're paying
16-17%,
sometimes up to 21%. Whereas these trade accounts, it's 0% for 30 days.
But with to be fair, your credit cards could be a 55-day.
True. They might give you a bit of an extension.
But if you don't pay in time, you're slapped with penalties. So always remember when it's due. Always make those payments before they come due, and make sure that your credit history is looking pretty good, because you want to be able to apply for trade credit, and the better your credit history, the better your chances.
Absolutely. The easier it'll be.
So other things that, coming to the end of what we're talking about, other things that we want to talk to you on is about your personal budget. Now, a lot of us small business owners are always dipping into our personal funds to put them in. But how many of you know how much you actually need to run your household?
I do, but only because I did my budget the other night. So, but I mean, I wouldn't know otherwise.
If you didn't do it, you wouldn't know. And a lot of people don't think about themselves as a entity, as a personal entity that needs a budget. How much is your rent? When are your kids,
when's your pay coming in? When do you have to pay all these things? Again, your personal budget, your personal finances can be run just like a small business.
So you identify all the sources of finance that you have personally, other loans that you have to pay. And once you know how much you need, then you can better estimate what you need from your business to pay those bills. Ultimately, someone has to pay your personal bills.
That's right.
And so that's important. Within your business, know all your different loans, know when they're due, how they're due, etc. Create the budgets, track, look at when you need to make the payments. Review your short-term and your long-term cash flow forecasts. Those are all things that we need to do. And so I hope that this information has we provided you today has been helpful and has been valuable to you. And if you have any questions, feel free to call us. And
Sarah will be happy to help. As you can see, she's a wealth of knowledge, and I wouldn't know half of what I know today without your assistance.
Thank you.
You're a gem.
Thank you. Thank you. The next webinar that we'll be having will be so much more exciting.
I don't know. I'm actually excited about cash flow now. I need to go and just have a look at my Xero, I think.
I think so. The next webinar will be on staffing and payroll. It's a big subject.
It is.
There's tons to talk about. So we're planning just one webinar, but you never know. It could be part one and part two,
like this one ended up being.
Exactly. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming and staying with us and watching all this. And please give us feedback on not only what other content that we could provide, but also how we can make this better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thanks for your time.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.